Edu brute. Alia iacta est. Divide and conquer. Let the die be cast. I am Caesar, not Rex. I came, I saw, I conquered. I love treason but hate a traitor. Without training they lacked knowledge. Without confidence they lacked victory. Experience is the teacher of all things. Without knowledge they lacked confidence. Veni vidi vici. I came, I saw, I conquered. I love the name of honor more than I fear death. All bad precedents begin as justifiable measures. Ik lieb den verat, aburric has den veratser. Men are nearly always willing to believe what they wish. In war, events of importance are the result of trivial causes. The greatest enemy will hide in the last place you would ever look. No one is so brave that he is not disturbed by something unexpected. It is better to create than to learn. Creating is the essence of life. In the end, it is impossible not to become what others believe you are. I came to Rome when it was a city of stone, and left it a city of marble. As a rule, men worry more about what they can't see than about what they can. He has not learned the lesson of life, who does not every day surmount a fear. If you must break the law, do it to seize power. In all other cases, observe it. Human nature is universally imbued with a desire for liberty and a hatred for servitude. What we wish, we readily believe, and what we ourselves think, we imagine others think also. It is not these well-fed, long-haired men that I fear, but the pale and the hungry-looking. It is easier to find men who will volunteer to die than to find those who are willing to endure pain with patience. Edu brute. Alia iacta est. Divide and conquer. Let the die be cast. I am Caesar, not Rex. I came, I saw, I conquered. I love treason but hate a traitor. Without training they lacked knowledge. Without confidence they lacked victory. Experience is the teacher of all things. Without knowledge they lacked confidence. Veni vidi vici. I came, I saw, I conquered. I love the name of honor more than I fear death. All bad precedents begin as justifiable measures. Ik lieb den verat, aburric has den veratser. Men are nearly always willing to believe what they wish. In war, events of importance are the result of trivial causes. The greatest enemy will hide in the last place you would ever look. No one is so brave that he is not disturbed by something unexpected. It is better to create than to learn. Create. My treasure lies in my friends. There are no more worlds to conquer. If I could not be Alexander, I would be Diogenes. There is nothing impossible to him who will try. Upon the conduct of each depends the fate of all. Upon the conduct of each determines the fate of all. Each moment free from fear makes a man immortal. Sex and sleep alone make me conscious that I am mortal. But truly, if I were not Alexander, I would be Diogenes. A tomb now suffices him for whom the world was not enough. Remember, upon the conduct of each depends the fate of all. There are so many worlds, and I have not yet conquered even one. I am indebted to my father for living, but to my teacher for living well. An army of sheep led by a lion is better than an army of lions led by a sheep. Glory crowns the deeds of those who expose themselves to toils and dangers. I am indebted to my father for living, but to my teacher for living well. I am not afraid of an army of lions led by a sheep. I am afraid of an army of sheep led by a lion. When we give someone our time, we actually give a portion of our life that we will never take back. For my part, I think that to a man of spirit there is no other aim and end of his labors except the labors themselves. As for a limit to one's labors, I, for one, do not recognize any for a high-minded man, except that the labors themselves should lead to noble accomplishments. When you bury my body, Don't build any momentum and keep my hands outside so that the world knows that the person who won the whole world had nothing in his hand while dying. When my casket is being carried to the grave, leave my hands hanging outside. For empty-handed I came into this world, and empty-handed I shall go. My whole life has been a hollow waste, a futile exercise, for no one at death can take anything with them. Now you fear punishment and beg for your lives, so I will let you free, if not for any other reason, so that you can see the difference between a Greek king and a barbarian tyrant. So do not expect to suffer any harm from me. A king does not kill messengers. Through every generation of the human race there has been a constant war, a war with fear. Those who have the courage to conquer it are made free, and those who are conquered by it are made to suffer until they have the courage to defeat it, or death takes them. Youths of the Pelians and of the Macedonians and of the Hellenic Amphictyony and of the Lacedaemonians and of the Corinthians and of all the Hellenic peoples, join your fellow soldiers and entrust yourselves to me, so that we can move against the barbarians and liberate ourselves from the Persian bondage. For as Greeks we should not be slaves to barbarians. Holy shadows of the dead, I am not to blame for your cruel and bitter fate, but the accursed rivalry which brought sister nations and brother people to fight one another. I do not feel happy for this victory of mine. On the contrary, I would be glad, brothers, if I had all of you standing here next to me, since we are united by the same language, the same blood, and the same visions. Now that the wars are coming to an end, I wish you to prosper in peace. May all mortals from now on live like one people in concord and for mutual advancement. Consider the world as your country, with laws common to all and where the best will govern irrespective of tribe. I do not distinguish among men, as the narrow-minded do, both among Greeks and barbarians. I am not interested in the descendants of the citizens or their racial origins. I classify them using one criterion, their virtue. For me, every virtuous foreigner is a Greek, and every evil Greek worse than a barbarian. If differences ever develop between you, never have recourse to arms, but solve them peacefully. If necessary, I should be your arbitrator. Our enemies are Medes and Persians, men who for centuries have lived soft and luxurious lives. We of Macedon for generations past have been trained in the hard school of danger and war. Above all, we are free men and they are slaves. There are Greek troops, to be sure, in Persian service, but how different is their cause from ours? They will be fighting for pay and not much of it that. We, on the contrary, shall fight for Greece, and our hearts will be in it. As for our foreign troops, Thracians, Paeonians, Illyrians, Agrians, they are the best and stoutest soldiers in Europe, and they will find as their opponents the slackest and softest of the tribes of Asia. And what, finally, of the two men in supreme command? You have Alexander, they, Darius. If it were not my purpose to combine barbarian things with things Hellenic, to traverse and civilize every continent, to search out the uttermost parts of land and sea, to push the bounds of Macedonia to the farthest ocean, and to disseminate and shower the blessings of the Hellenic justice and peace over every nation. Edu Brute. Alia iacta est. Divide and conquer. Let the die be cast. I am Caesar, not Rex. I came, I saw, I conquered. I love treason but hate a traitor. Without training they lacked knowledge. Without confidence they lacked victory. Experience is the teacher of all things. Without knowledge they lacked confidence. Veni vidi vici. I came, I saw, I conquered. I love the name of honor more than I fear death. All bad precedents begin as justifiable measures. Ich liebe den Verrat, aber ich hasse den Verräter. Men are nearly always willing to believe what they wish. In war, events of importance are the result of trivial causes. Chess demands total concentration. Patzer sees a check, gives a check. You are never too old to play chess. Tactics flow from a superior position. To get squares, you have to give up squares. I don't remember one thing I learned in school. All that matters on the chessboard is good moves. Morphy was probably the greatest genius of them all. I hope the Icelandic government grants me political asylum. There are tough players and nice guys, and I'm a tough player. I think it's almost definite that the game is a draw theoretically. I give 98% of my mental energy to chess. Others give only 2%. It's just you and your opponent at the board, and you're trying to prove something. That's what chess is all about. One day you give your opponent a lesson, the next day he gives you one. Concentrate on material gains. Whatever your opponent gives you, take, unless you see a good reason not to. The white people should go back to Europe, and the country should be returned to the American Indians. This is the future I would like to see for the so-called United States. As Olafsson showed me, white can win. It's hard to believe. I stayed up all night analyzing, finally convincing myself, and incidentally learning a lot about rook and pawn endings in the process. I studied that first Karpov-Kasparov match for a year and a half before I cracked it, what they were doing, and discovered that it was all prearranged move by move. There's no doubt of it in my mind. In chess, so much depends on opening theory, so the champions before the last century did not know as much as I do and other players do about opening theory. So if you just brought them back from the dead, they wouldn't do well. They'd get bad openings. Sometimes girls write me. One girl in Yugoslavia sent me a whole slew of love letters. I don't know how she got my address. She was in a crowd watching me play. She says when I left there the stars fell out of the sky over Yugoslavia or something like that. Vacations are designed to refresh the outlook of everyone. No matter how tired they may be when they return to work, vacationers have been refreshed emotionally and intellectually. Their effectiveness in their job has probably improved, and they are, generally speaking, better employees for the time off. When I used to go to the Manhattan Chess Club back in the 50s, I met a lot of old-timers there who knew Capablanca, because he used to come around to the Manhattan Club in the 40s, before he died in the early 40s. They spoke about Capablanca with awe. I have never seen people speak about any chess player like that before or since. She and I just don't see eye to eye together. She's a square. She keeps telling me that I'm too interested in chess, that I should get friends outside of chess, you can't make a living from chess, that I should finish high school and all that nonsense. She keeps in my hair, and I don't like people in my hair, you know, so I had to get rid of her. He is the so-called father of the modern school of chess. Before him, the king was considered a weak piece, and players set out to attack the king directly. Steinitz claimed that the king was well able to take care of itself, and ought not to be attacked until one had some other positional advantage. He understood more about the use of squares than Morphy, and contributed a great deal more to chess theory. It's the fault of the chess players themselves. I don't know what they used to be, but now they're not the most gentlemanly group. When it was a game played by the aristocrats, it had more dignity to it. When they used to have the clubs, no women were allowed and everybody went in dressed in a suit, a tie like gentlemen, Now kids come running in their sneakers, even in the best chess club, and they got women in there. It's a social place and people are making noise. It's a madhouse. Edu brute. Alia iacta est. Divide and conquer. Let the die be cast. I am Caesar, not Rex. I came, I saw, I conquered. I love treason but hate a traitor. Without training they lacked knowledge. Without confidence they lacked victory. Experience is the teacher of all things. Without knowledge they lacked confidence. Veni vidi vici. I came, I saw, I conquered. I love the name of honor more than I fear death. All bad precedents begin as justifiable measures. Ich liebe den Verrat, aber ich hasse den Verräter. Men are nearly always willing to believe what they wish. In war, events of importance are the result of trivial causes. The greatest enemy will hide in the last place. To have a second language is to have a second soul. Let peace, concord and unanimity reign among all Christian people, for without peace we cannot please God. Edu Brute. Alia iacta est. Divide and conquer. Let the die be cast. I am Caesar, not Rex. I came, I saw, I conquered. Never was anything great achieved without danger. He who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command. Never attempt to win by force what can be won by deception. It is not titles that honor men, but men that honor titles. There is nothing more important than appearing to be religious. Where the willingness is great, the difficulties cannot be great. Men are driven by two principal impulses, either by love or by fear. Everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are. I'm not interested in preserving the status quo, I want to overthrow it. Whosoever desires constant success must change his conduct with the times. Of mankind we may say in general they are fickle, hypocritical, and greedy of gain. He who seeks to deceive will always find someone who will allow himself to be deceived. The vulgar crowd always is taken by appearances, and the world consists chiefly of the vulgar. If an injury has to be done to a man, it should be so severe that his vengeance need not be feared. The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. Wisdom consists of knowing how to distinguish the nature of trouble, and in choosing the lesser evil. Since love and fear can hardly exist together, if we must choose between them, it is far safer to be feared than loved. There is no other way to guard yourself against flattery than by making men understand that telling you the truth will not offend you. A man who is used to acting in one way never changes. He must come to ruin when the times, in changing, no longer are in harmony with his ways. Men are so simple of mind, and so much dominated by their immediate needs, that a deceitful man will always find plenty who are ready to be deceived. The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. How we live is so different from how we ought to live that he who studies what ought to be done rather than what is done will learn the way to his downfall rather than to his preservation. A prudent man should always follow in the path trodden by great men and imitate those who are most excellent, so that if he does not attain to their greatness, at any rate he will get some tinge of it. It is much safer to be feared than loved because love is preserved by the link of obligation which, owing to the baseness of men, is broken at every opportunity for their advantage. But fear preserves you by a dread of punishment which never fails. People should either be caressed or crushed. If you do them minor damage, they will get their revenge. But if you cripple them, there is nothing they can do. If you need to injure someone, do it in such a way that you do not have to fear their vengeance. All courses of action are risky, so prudence is not in avoiding danger, it's impossible, but calculating risk and acting decisively. Make mistakes of ambition and not mistakes of sloth. Develop the strength to do bold things, not the strength to suffer. Any man who tries to be good all the time is bound to come to ruin among the great number who are not good. Hence, a prince who wants to keep his authority must learn how not to be good, and use that knowledge, or refrain from using it, as necessity requires. Men in general judge more by the sense of sight than by the sense of touch, because everyone can see but few can test by feeling. Everyone sees what you seem to be, few know what you really are, and those few do not dare take a stand against the general opinion. Because there are three classes of intellects, one which comprehends by itself, another which appreciates what others comprehend, and a third which neither comprehends by itself nor by the showing of others. The first is the most excellent, the second is good, the third is useless. And here comes in the question whether it is better to be loved rather than feared, or feared rather than loved. It might perhaps be answered that we should wish to be both, But since love and fear can hardly exist together, if we must choose between them, it is far safer to be feared than loved. Edu Brute. Alia iacta est. Divide and conquer. Let the die be cast. I am Caesar, not Rex. I came, I saw, I conquered. I love treason but hate a traitor. Without training they lacked knowledge. Without confidence they lacked victory. Experience is the teacher of all things. Without knowledge they lacked confidence. Veni vidi vici. I came, I saw, I conquered. I love the name of honor more than I fear death. All bad precedents begin as justifiable measures. Ik lieb den verat, aber ich hasse den Verräter. Men are nearly always willing to believe what they wish. In war, events of importance are the result of trivial causes. The greatest enemy. Regret is unnecessary. Think before you act. I am overwhelmed by an irresistible temptation to do my climb by moonlight and unroped. This is contrary to all my rock climbing teaching and does not mean poor training, but only a strong-headedness. Nature has color-coded groups of individuals, so that statistically reliable predictions of their adaptability to intellectual rewarding and effective lives can easily be made and profitably used by the pragmatic man in the street. If you take a bale of hay and tie it to the tail of a mule and then strike a match and set the bale of hay on fire, and if you then compare the energy expended shortly thereafter by the mule with the energy expended by yourself in the striking of the match, you will understand the concept of amplification. Frequently, I have been asked if an experiment I have planned is pure or applied science. To me, it is more important to know if the experiment will yield new and probably enduring knowledge about nature. If it is likely to yield such knowledge, it is, in my opinion, good fundamental research, and this is more important than whether the motivation is purely aesthetic satisfaction on the part of the experimenter on the one hand, or the improvement of the stability of a high-power transistor on the other. Edu Brute. Alia iacta est. Divide and conquer. Let the die be cast. I am Caesar, not Rex. I came, I saw, I conquered. I love treason but hate a traitor. Without training they lacked knowledge. Without confidence they lacked victory. Experience is the teacher of all things. Without knowledge they lacked confidence. Veni vidi vici. I came, I saw, I conquered. I love the name of honor more than I fear death. All bad precedents begin as justifiable measures. Ik lieb den verat, aber ich hasse den Verräter. Men are nearly always willing to believe what they wish. In war, events of importance are the result of trivial. Better do nothing than do ill. Nothing is so unequal as equality. From the end spring new beginnings. Home is where the heart is. There is always something new out of Africa. The best plan is to profit by the folly of others. Envy always implies conscious inferiority, wherever it resides. In these matters, the only certainty is that nothing is certain. There is no book so bad that some good cannot be got out of it. Most men are afraid of a bad name, but few fear their consciences. Amid the sufferings of life on earth, suicide is God's best gift to man. The best kind of wine is that which is most pleasant to him who drinks it. An object in possession seldom retains the same charm that it had in pursuit. Hope is the pillar that holds up the world. Hope is the dream of a waking man. Nature is to be found in her entirety, nowhere more than in her smallest creatures. How many things are looked upon as quite impossible until they have been actually effected. True glory consists in doing what deserves to be written, and writing what deserves to be read. As land is improved by sowing it with various seeds, so is the mind by exercising it with different studies. Wine takes away reason, engenders insanity, leads to thousands of crimes, and imposes such an enormous expense on nations. The depth of darkness to which you can descend and still live is an exact measure of the height to which you can aspire to reach. Grief has limits, whereas apprehension has none. For we grieve only for what we know has happened, but we fear all that possibly may happen. The great business of man is to improve his mind and govern his manners. All other projects and pursuits, whether in our power to compass or not, are only amusements. Indeed, what is there that does not appear marvelous when it comes to our knowledge for the first time? How many things, too, are looked upon as quite impossible until they have been actually effected? It is a maxim universally agreed upon in agriculture that nothing must be done too late, and again, that everything must be done at its proper season, while there is a third precept which reminds us that opportunities lost can never be regained. Edu brute. Alia iacta est. Divide and conquer. Let the die be cast. I am Caesar, not Rex. I came, I saw, I conquered. I love treason but hate a traitor. Without training they lacked knowledge. Without confidence they lacked victory. Experience is the teacher of all things. Without knowledge they lacked confidence. Veni vidi vici. I came, I saw, I conquered. I love the name of honor more than I fear death. All bad precedents begin as justifiable measures. Ich liebe den Verrat, aber ich hasse den Verräter. Men are nearly always willing to believe what they wish. In war, events of importance are the result of trivial causes. The greatest enemy will hide in the last place you would ever look. No one is so brave that he is not disturbed by something unexpected. It is better to create than to learn. Creating is the essence of life. In the end, it is impossible. No one you love is ever truly lost. You must be prepared to work always without applause. Today is only one day, and all the days that will ever be. You may talk and I may listen, and miracles might happen. Men cannot act before the camera in the presence of death. When you stop doing things for fun, you might as well be dead. Never delay kissing a pretty girl or opening a bottle of whiskey. Life breaks all of us, but some of us get stronger in the broken places. Remember, everything is right until it's wrong. You'll know when it's wrong. The most essential gift for a good writer is a built-in, shock-proof shit detector. I love sleep. My life has the tendency to fall apart when I'm awake, you know. The world breaks everyone, and afterward some are strong at the broken places. I love you for all that you are, all that you have been, all that you're yet to be. Critics are men who watch a battle from a high place, then come down and shoot the survivors. I like to listen. I have learned a great deal from listening carefully. Most people never listen. Before you react, think. Before you spend, earn. Before you criticize, wait. Before you quit, try. Ernest Hemingway quote, "There is nothing noble in being superior to your fellow men. True nobility." Ernest Hemingway quote, "The world breaks everyone, and afterward some are strong at the broken places. The rain will stop, the night will end, the hurt will fade. Hope is never so lost that it can't be found. There is nothing noble in being superior to your fellow men. True nobility lies in being superior to your former self. The most painful thing is losing yourself in the process of loving someone too much, and forgetting that you are special too. Every man's life ends the same way. It is only the details of how he lived and how he died that distinguish one man from another. Night is always darker before the dawn, and life is the same. The hard times will pass. Everything will get better and sun will shine brighter than ever. Worry a little bit every day, and in a lifetime you will lose a couple of years. If something is wrong, fix it if you can. But train yourself not to worry. Worry never fixes anything. The first panacea for a mismanaged nation is inflation of the currency. The second is war. Both bring a temporary prosperity. Both bring a permanent ruin. but both are the refuge of political and economic opportunists. The best people possess a feeling for beauty, the courage to take risks, the discipline to tell the truth, the capacity for sacrifice. Ironically, their virtues make them vulnerable. They are often wounded, sometimes destroyed. Try to learn to breathe deeply, really to taste food when you eat, and when you sleep, really to sleep. Try as much as possible to be wholly alive with all your might, and when you laugh, laugh like hell. And when you get angry, get good and angry. Try to be alive. You will be dead soon enough. The world breaks everyone or nearly everyone of their childish illusions, assumptions and wishes, often painfully and afterwards due to the personal growth in practical experience. Insight and the resulting wisdom, many are strong at the broken places, just like mended broken bones often are. And some people even have the great insight to be grateful for the purifying fire. Edu Brute. Alia iacta est. Divide and conquer. Let the die be cast. I am Caesar, not Rex. I came, I saw, I conquered. I love treason but hate a traitor. Without training they lacked knowledge. Without confidence they lacked victory. Experience is the teacher of all things. Without knowledge they lacked confidence. Veni vidi vici. I came, I saw, I conquered. I love the name of honor more than I fear death. All bad precedents begin as justifiable measures. Ich liebe den Verrat, aber ich hasse den Verräter. Men are nearly always willing to believe what they wish. In war, events of importance are the result of trivial causes. The greatest enemy will hide in the last place you would ever look. No one is so brave that he is not disturbed by something unexpected. It is better to create than to learn. Creating is the essence of life. In the end, it is impossible. When placed in command, take charge. Success is sweet, but the secret is sweat. The more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war. 99% of leadership failures are failures of character. Going to war without France is like going hunting without an accordion. You can't help someone get up a hill without getting closer to the top yourself. How do you fight someone who doesn't care if they get killed? You accommodate them. I believe that forgiving them is God's function. Our job is to arrange the meeting. Leadership consists of character and strategy. If you can't have both, opt for character. Any soldier worth his salt should be anti-war. And still, there are things worth fighting for. It is God's job to forgive Osama bin Laden. It is our job to arrange a face-to-face meeting. True courage is being afraid, and going ahead and doing your job anyhow. That's what courage is. Do what is right, not what you think the high headquarters wants, or what you think will make you look good. It doesn't take a hero to order men into battle. It takes a hero to be one of those men who goes into battle. Leadership is a potent combination of strategy and character. But if you must be without one, be without the strategy. It's the sense of duty that keeps you going sometimes when things get very, very rough. Somebody's got to do it. And if you don't, who will? You learn far more from negative leadership than from positive leadership, because you learn how not to do it, and therefore, you learn how to do it. To be an effective leader, you have to have a manipulative streak. You have to figure out the people working for you and give each tasks that will take advantage of his strength. I admire men of character, and I judge character not by how men deal with their superiors, but mostly how they deal with their subordinates. And that, to me, is where you find out what the character of a man is. I have seen competent leaders who stood in front of a platoon and all they saw was a platoon. But great leaders stand in front of a platoon and see it as 44 individuals, each of whom has aspirations, each of who wants to live, each of whom wants to do good. As far as Saddam Hussein being a great military strategist, he is neither a strategist, nor is he schooled in the operational arts, nor is he a tactician, nor is he a general, nor is he a soldier. Other than that, he's a great military man. I want you to know that. In a recent interview, General Norman Schwarzkopf was asked if he thought there was room for forgiveness toward the people who have harbored and abetted the terrorists who perpetrated the 9/11 attacks on America. His answer: I believe that forgiving them is God's function. Our job is simply to arrange the meeting. Particularly when you're dealing with very high-ranking people. You have to get their attention. They are used to, by their rank, of having their own way and doing their own thing, and when it's necessary to all work together on something, sometimes you have to hit the mule between the eyes of the 2x4 to get its attention. I can't say enough about the two Marine divisions. If I use words like brilliant, it would really be an under-description of the absolutely superb job that they did in breaching the so-called impenetrable barrier. It was a classic, absolutely classic military breaching of a very, very tough minefield, barbed wire, fire trenches type barrier. Edu brute. Alia iacta est. Divide and conquer. Let the die be cast. I am Caesar, not Rex. I came, I saw, I conquered. I love treason but hate a traitor. Without training they lacked knowledge. Without confidence they lacked victory. Experience is the teacher of all things. Without knowledge they lacked confidence. Veni vidi vici. I came, I saw, I conquered. I love the name of honor more than I fear death. All bad precedents begin as justifiable measures. Ich liebe den Verrat, aber ich hasse den Verräter. Men are nearly always willing to believe what they wish. In war, events of importance are the result of trivial causes. The greatest enemy will hide in the last place you would ever look. No one is so brave that he is not disturbed by something unexpected. It is better to create than to learn. Creating is the essence of life. How will I ever get out of this labyrinth? The art of winning is learned in defeat. Unity, 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 or anarchy will devour you. There is but one step from the heroic to the ridiculous. All who have served the revolution have plowed the sea. The first duty of a government is to give education to the people. Beware the nation in which one man rules, for it is a nation of slaves. To achieve victory, it has always been essential to walk the path of sacrifice. They, the masters of the world, dominate us more through ignorance than through force. First, our native soil, above all else. Our lives are nothing more than the legacy of our country. Slavery is the daughter of darkness. An ignorant people is a blind instrument of its own destruction. The United States appear to be destined by Providence to plague America with misery in the name of liberty. The real discoverer of South America was Alexander von Humboldt, since his work was more useful for our people than the work of all conquerors. A great volcano lies at our feet. Who shall restrain the oppressed classes? The yoke of slavery will break. Each shade of complexion will seek mastery. A state too expensive in itself, or by virtue of its dependencies, ultimately falls into decay. Its free government is transformed into a tyranny. It disregards the principles which it should preserve, and finally degenerates into despotism. It is quite possible that New Granada will not agree to recognize a central government, for it is fiercely committed to federalism. It will then form a state of its own which, should it endure, could become highly prosperous thanks to its vast resources of every kind. As for heroic and unfortunate Venezuela, the events there have unfolded so rapidly, and the devastation has been so severe, that the country has been reduced to a state of utter destitution and appalling desolation, despite having once been one of the most beautiful lands that were the pride of the Americas. Edu brute. Alia iacta est. Divide and conquer. Let the die be cast. I am Caesar, not Rex. I came, I saw, I conquered. I love treason but hate a traitor. Without training they lacked knowledge. Without confidence, they lacked victory. Experience is the teacher of all things. Without knowledge, they lacked confidence. Veni vidi vici, I came, I saw, I conquered. I love the name of honor more than I fear death. All bad precedents begin as justifiable measures. Ik lieb den Verat, aber ich hasse den Verräter. Men are nearly always willing to believe what they wish. In war, events of importance are the result of trivial causes. The greatest enemy will hide in the last place you would ever look. No one is so brave that he is not disturbed by something unexpected. It is better to create than to learn. Creating is the essence of life. The wise warrior avoids the battle. Opportunities multiply as they are seized. Know yourself and you will win all battles. Who wishes to fight must first count the cost. There are not more than 5 primary colors, yet in combination they produce more hues than can ever been seen. To know your enemy, you must become your enemy. In the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity. The greatest victory is that which requires no battle. Build your opponent a golden bridge to retreat across. One he will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight. Thus we may know that there are 5 essentials for victory. Appear weak when you are strong, and strong when you are weak. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. There are not more than 5 cardinal tastes, yet combinations of. Even the finest sword plunged into salt water will eventually rust. There is no instance of a nation benefiting from prolonged warfare. 2. He will win who knows how to handle both superior and inferior forces. 4. He will win who, prepared himself, waits to take the enemy unprepared. So in war, the way is to avoid what is strong and strike at what is weak. 3. He will win whose army is animated by the same spirit throughout all its ranks. If you wait by the river long enough, the bodies of your enemies will float by. Supreme excellence consists of breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting. 5. He will win who has military capacity and is not interfered with by the sovereign. When you surround an army, leave an outlet free. Do not press a desperate foe too hard. Let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night, and when you move, fall like a thunderbolt. When the enemy is relaxed, make them toil. When full, starve them. When settled, make them move. Treat your men as you would your own beloved sons, and they will follow you into the deepest valley. Move swift as the wind and closely formed as the wood. Attack like the fire and be still as the mountain. Victorious warriors win first and then go to war, while defeated warriors go to war first and then seek to win. There are not more than 5 musical notes, yet the combinations of these 5 give rise to more melodies than can ever be heard. To win 100 victories in 100 battles is not the acme of skill. To subdue the enemy without fighting is the acme of skill. Be extremely subtle even to the point of formlessness. Be extremely mysterious even to the point of soundlessness. Thereby you can be the director of the opponent's fate. There are not more than 5 cardinal tastes: sour, acrid, salt, sweet, bitter. Yet combinations of them yield more flavors than can ever be tasted. The art of war is of vital importance to the state. It is a matter of life and death, a road either to safety or to ruin. Hence it is a subject of inquiry which can on no account be neglected. All warfare is based on deception. Hence, when we are able to attack, we must seem unable. When using our forces, we must appear inactive. When we are near, we must make the enemy believe we are far away. When far away, we must make him believe we are near. Engage people with what they expect. It is what they are able to discern and confirms their projections. It settles them into predictable patterns of response, occupying their minds while you wait for the extraordinary moment, that which they cannot anticipate. If you know the enemy and know yourself, You need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. If your enemy is secure at all points, be prepared for him. If he is in superior strength, evade him. If your opponent is temperamental, seek to irritate him. Pretend to be weak that he may grow arrogant. If he is taking his ease, give him no rest. If his forces are united, separate them. If sovereign and subject are in accord, put division between them. Attack him where he is unprepared, appear where you are not expected. Edu brute. Alia iacta est. Divide and conquer. Let the die be cast. I am Caesar, not Rex. I came, I saw, I conquered. I love treason but hate a traitor. Without training they lacked knowledge. Without confidence they lacked victory. Experience is the teacher of all things. Without knowledge they lacked confidence. Veni vidi vici. I came, I saw, I conquered. I love the name of honor more than I fear death. All bad precedents begin as justifiable measures. Ich liebe den Verrat, aber ich hasse den Verräter. Men are nearly always willing to believe what they wish. In war, events of importance are the result of trivial causes. The greatest enemy will hide in the last place you would ever look. No one is so brave that he is not disturbed by something unexpected. It is better to create than to learn. Creating is the essence of life. In the end, wisdom begins in wonder. Understanding a question is half an answer. If you want to be wrong, then follow the masses. Awareness of ignorance is the beginning of wisdom. Lies are the greatest murder. They kill the truth. In every person there is a sun. Just let them shine. The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing. It is better to suffer an injustice than to commit one. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is a habit. Be the kind of person that you want people to think you are. When the debate is lost, slander becomes the tool of the loser. I know that I am intelligent because I know that I know nothing. I don't care what people say about me. I do care about my mistakes. There is no possession more valuable than a good and faithful friend. I am a fool, but I know I'm a fool, and that makes me smarter than you. Prefer knowledge to wealth, for the one is transitory, the other perpetual. Sometimes you have to let go to see if there was anything worth holding on to. Falling down is not a failure. Failure comes when you stay where you have fallen. Socrates quote, "Trust not a woman when she weeps, for it is her nature to weep." I call myself a peaceful warrior, because the battles we fight are on the inside. Trust not a woman when she weeps, for it is her nature to weep when she wants her will. Do not go through life like leaf blown, from here to there believing whatever you are told. Socrates quote, "Falling down is not a failure. Failure comes when you stay where you have." He who is not contented with what he has would not be contented with what he would like to have. The secret of happiness, you see, is not found in seeking more, but in developing the capacity to enjoy less. True wisdom comes to each of us when we realize how little we understand about life, ourselves, and the world around us. The real artist, who knew what he was imitating, would be interested in realities and not in imitations, and would desire to leave as memorials of himself works many and fair. And instead of being the author of encomiums, he would prefer to be the theme of them. Most people, including ourselves, live in a world of relative ignorance. We are even comfortable with that ignorance because it is all we know. When we first start facing truth, the process may be frightening, and many people run back to their old lives. But if you continue to seek truth, you will eventually be able to handle it better. In fact, you want more. It's true that many people around you now may think you are weird or even a danger to society, but you don't care. Once you've tasted the truth, you won't ever want to go back to being ignorant. Edu brute. Alia iacta est. Divide and conquer. Let the die be cast. I am Caesar, not Rex. I came, I saw, I conquered. I love the price of greatness is responsibility. If you're going through hell, keep going. Don't interrupt me while I'm interrupting. Kites rise highest against the wind, not with it. History will be kind to me, for I intend to write it. Attitude is a little thing that makes a big difference. My tastes are simple. I am easily satisfied with the best. To improve is to change. To be perfect is to change often. We make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give. He has all the virtues I dislike, and none of the vices I admire. Nothing in life is so exhilarating as to be shot at without result. An appeaser is one who feeds a crocodile, hoping it will eat him last. Success is stumbling from failure to failure, with no loss of enthusiasm. A fanatic is one who can't change his mind and won't change the subject. The greatest lesson in life is to know that even fools are right sometimes. It is not enough that we do our best. Sometimes we must do what is required. Personally, I'm always ready to learn, although I do not always like being taught. For myself, I am an optimist. It does not seem to be much use to be anything else. I am fond of pigs. Dogs look up to us. Cats look down on us. Pigs treat us as equals. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. You have enemies. Good. That means you've stood up for something sometime in your life. The best argument against democracy is a 5-minute conversation with the average voter. Continuous effort, not strength or intelligence, is the key to unlocking our potential. Tact is the ability to tell someone to go to hell in such a way that they look forward to the trip. Men occasionally stumble over the truth, but most of them pick themselves up and hurry off as if nothing had happened. A lady came up to me one day and said, "Sir, you are drunk," to which I replied, "I am drunk today, madam, and tomorrow I shall be sober, but you will still be ugly." Never give in. Never give in. Never, 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 never in nothing, great or small, large or petty. Never give in except to convictions of honor and good sense. Never yield to force. Never yield to the apparently overwhelming might of the enemy. To each there comes in their lifetime a special moment when they are figuratively tapped on the shoulder and offered the chance to do a very special thing, unique to them and fitted to their talents. What a tragedy if that moment finds them unprepared or unqualified for that which could have been their finest hour. If you cannot read all your books, fondle them, peer into them, let them fall open where they will, read from the first sentence that arrests the eye, set them back on the shelves with your own hands, arrange them on your own plan so that you at least know where they are. Let them be your friends. Let them, at any rate, be your acquaintances. Edu brute. Alia iacta est. Divide and conquer. Let the die be cast. I am Caesar, not Rex. I came, I saw, I conquered. I love treason but hate a traitor. Without training they lacked knowledge. Without confidence they lacked victory. Experience is the teacher of all things. Without knowledge they lacked confidence. Veni vidi vici. I came, I saw, I conquered. I love the name of honor more than I fear death. All bad precedents begin as justifiable measures. Ich liebe den Verrat, aber ich hasse den Verräter. Men are nearly always willing to believe what they wish. In war, events of importance are the result of trivial causes. Forgive your enemies, but never forget their names. Do not pray for easy lives. Pray to be stronger men. Victory has 100 fathers and defeat is an orphan. Leadership and learning are indispensable to each other. Public libraries should be open to all, except the censor. One person can make a difference, and everyone should try. Conformity is the jailer of freedom and the enemy of growth. Mankind must put an end to war, or war will put an end to mankind. Let us never negotiate out of fear, but let us never fear to negotiate. Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. The rights of every man are diminished when the rights of one man are threatened. We must find time to stop and thank the people who make a difference in our lives. Those who make peaceful revolution impossible will make violent revolution inevitable. If a free society cannot help the many who are poor, it cannot save the few who are rich. Liberty without learning is always in peril, and learning without liberty is always in vain. If we cannot end now our differences, at least we can help make the world safe for diversity. A man may die, nations may rise and fall, but an idea lives on. Ideas have endurance without death. Change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past or the present are certain to miss the future. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. As we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them. Too often we hold fast to the clichés of our forebears. We subject all facts to a prefabricated set of interpretations. We enjoy the comfort of opinion without the discomfort of thought. The Chinese use 2 brush strokes to write the word crisis. One brush stroke stands for danger, the other for opportunity. In a crisis, be aware of the danger but recognize the opportunity. We are not afraid to entrust the American people with unpleasant facts, foreign ideas, alien philosophies, and competitive values. For a nation that is afraid to let its people judge the truth and falsehood in an open market is a nation that is afraid of its people. If we cannot end now our differences, at least we can help make the world safe for diversity. For, in the final analysis, our most basic common link is that we all inhabit this small planet. We all breathe the same air. We all cherish our children's future, and we are all mortal. The great enemy of truth is very often not the lie deliberate, contrived, and dishonest, but the myth persistent, persuasive, and unrealistic. Too often we hold fast to the clichés of our forebears. We subject all facts to a prefabricated set of interpretations. We enjoy the comfort of opinion without the discomfort of thought. There is nothing in the record of the past 2 years when both houses of Congress have been controlled by the Republican Party, which can lead any person to believe that those promises will be fulfilled in the future. They follow the Hitler line, no matter how big the lie. Repeat it often enough, and the masses will regard it as truth. If by a liberal they mean someone who looks ahead and not behind, someone who welcomes new ideas without rigid reactions, someone who cares about the welfare of the people, their health, their housing, their schools, their jobs, their civil rights, and their civil liberties, someone who believes we can break through the stalemate and suspicions that grip us in our policies abroad, if that is what they mean by a liberal, then I'm proud to say I'm a liberal. If this nation is to be wise as well as strong, if we are to achieve our destiny, then we need more new ideas for more wise men reading more good books in more public libraries. These libraries should be open to all, except the censor. We must know all the facts and hear all the alternatives and listen to all the criticisms. Let us welcome controversial books and controversial authors. For the Bill of Rights is the guardian of our security as well as our liberty. I believe in an America where the separation of church and state is absolute, where no Catholic prelate would tell the president, should he be Catholic, how to act, and no Protestant minister would tell his parishioners for whom to vote, where no church or church school is granted any public funds or political preference, and where no man is denied public office merely because his religion differs from the president who might appoint him or the people who might elect him. Edu Brute. Alia iacta est. Divide and conquer. Let the die be cast. I am Caesar, not Rex. I came, I saw, I conquered. I love treason but hate a traitor. Without training they lacked knowledge. Without confidence, they lacked victory. Experience is the teacher of all things. Without knowledge, they lacked confidence. Veni vidi vici, I came, I saw, I conquered. I love the name of honor more than I fear death. All bad precedents begin as justifiable measures. Ik lieb den Verat, aber ich hasse den Verräter. Men are nearly always willing to believe what they wish. In war, events of importance are the result of trivial causes. The greatest enemy will hide in the last place you would ever look. No one is so brave that he is not disturbed by something unexpected. It is better to create. I will either find a way or make one. Last words from the founding of the city. God has given to man no sharper spur to victory than contempt of death. I have come not to make war on the Italians, but to aid the Italians against Rome. Let us ease the Roman people of their continual care, who think it long to await the death of an old man. Ah, there is one thing about them more wonderful than their numbers. In all that vast number there is not one man called Gisco. I am not carrying on a war of extermination against the Romans. I am contending for honor and empire. My ancestors yielded to Roman valor. I am endeavoring that others in their turn will be obliged to yield to my good fortune and my valor. Edu brute. Alia iacta est. Divide and conquer. Let the die be cast. I am Caesar, not Rex. I came, I saw, I conquered. I love treason but hate a traitor. Without training they lacked knowledge. Without confidence they lacked victory. Experience is the teacher of all things. Without knowledge they lacked confidence. Veni vidi vici, I came, I saw, I conquered. I love the name of honor more than I fear death. All bad precedents begin as justifiable measures. Ik lieb den Verat, aber ich hasse den Verräter. Men are nearly always willing to believe what they wish. In war, events of importance are the result of trivial causes. The greatest enemy will hide in the last place you would ever look. The art of reading is to skip judiciously. Those who stand for nothing fall for everything. Men are reasoning rather than reasonable animals. I never expect a perfect work from an imperfect man. A powerful, victorious ally is yet another name for master. Vigor of government is essential to the security of liberty. Here, sir, the people govern. Here they act by their immediate representatives. I have thought it my duty to exhibit things as they are, not as they ought to be. A well-adjusted person is one who makes the same mistake twice without getting nervous. The best we can hope for concerning the people at large is that they be properly armed. A nation which can prefer disgrace to danger is prepared for a master and deserves one. Hard words are very rarely useful. Real firmness is good for everything. Strut is good for nothing. Give all the power to the many, they will oppress the few. Give all the power to the few, they will oppress the many. If we must have an enemy at the head of government, let it be one whom we can oppose, and for whom we are not responsible. The Constitution shall never be construed to prevent the people of the United States, who are peaceable citizens, from keeping their own arms. Why has government been instituted at all? Because the passions of man will not conform to the dictates of reason and justice without constraint. Who talks most about freedom and equality? Is it not those who hold the Bill of Rights in one hand and a whip for affrighted slaves in the other? For in politics, as in religion, it is equally absurd to aim at making proselytes by fire and sword. Heresies in either can rarely be cured by persecution. The inquiry constantly is what will please, not what will benefit the people. In such a government there can be nothing but temporary expedient, fickleness, and folly. It will be of little avail to the people that the laws are made by men of their own choice, if the laws be so voluminous that they cannot be read, or so incoherent that they cannot be understood. There are seasons in every country when noise and impudence pass current for worth, and in popular commotions especially, the clamors of interested and factious men are often mistaken for patriotism. There are approximately 1,010,300 words in the English language, but I could never string enough words together to properly express how much I want to hit you with a chair. Alexander Hamilton to Thomas Jefferson. The sacred rights of mankind are not to be rummaged for among old parchments or musty records. They are written, as with a sunbeam, in the whole volume of human nature, by the hand of divinity itself, and can never be erased or obscured by mortal power. The truth unquestionably is that the only path to a subversion of the republican system of the country is by flattering the prejudices of the people and exciting their jealousies and apprehensions, to throw affairs into confusion and bring on civil commotion. Men give me credit for some genius. All the genius I have lies in this: when I have a subject in hand, I study it profoundly. Day and night it is before me. My mind becomes pervaded with it. Then the effort that I have made is what people are pleased to call the fruit of genius. It is the fruit of labor and thought. It has been frequently remarked that it seems to have been reserved to the people of this country to decide, by their conduct and example, the important question, whether societies of men are really capable or not, of establishing good government from reflection and choice, or whether they are forever destined to depend, for their political constitutions, on accident and force. Safety from external danger is the most powerful director of national conduct. Even the ardent love of liberty will, after a time, give way to its dictates. The violent destruction of life and property incident to war, the continual effort and alarm attendant on a state of continual danger, will compel nations the most attached to liberty to resort for repose and security to institutions which have a tendency to destroy their civil and political rights. To be more safe, they at length become willing to run the risk of being less free. When occasions present themselves in which the interests of the people are at variance with their inclinations, it is the duty of the persons whom they have appointed to be the guardians of those interests to withstand the temporary delusion, in order to give them time and opportunity for more cool and sedate reflection. Instances might be cited in which a conduct of this kind has saved the people from very fatal consequences of their own mistakes, and has procured lasting monuments of their gratitude to the men who had courage and magnanimity enough to serve them at the peril of their displeasure. Edu Brute. Alia iacta est. Divide and conquer. Let the die be cast. I am Caesar, not Rex. I came, I saw, I conquered. I love treason but hate a traitor. Without training they lacked knowledge. Without confidence they lacked victory. Experience is the teacher of all things. Without knowledge they lacked confidence. Veni vidi vici. I came, I saw, I conquered. I love the name of honor more than I fear death. All bad precedents begin as justifiable measures. Ich liebe den Verrat, aber ich hasse den Verräter. Men are nearly always willing to believe what they wish. In war, events of importance are the result of trivial causes. The greatest enemy will hide in the last place you would ever look. No one is so brave that he is not disturbed by something unexpected. It is better to create than to learn. Creating is the essence of life. In the end, it is impossible not to become what others believe. Publish and be damned. Damn his heart, sir, let my orders be obeyed. Being born in a stable does not make one a horse. A man can be born in a stable and yet not be an animal. My rule always was to do the business of the day in the day. The Battle of Waterloo was won on the playing fields of Eton. Next to a battle lost, the greatest misery is a battle gained. Believe me, nothing except a battle lost can be half so melancholy as a battle won. I don't know what effect these men will have upon the enemy, but By God, they frightened me. An extraordinary affair. I gave them their orders and they wanted to stay and discuss them. It had been a damned nice thing, the nearest run thing you ever saw in your life. Napoleon built his campaigns of iron, and when one piece broke the whole structure collapsed. I made my campaigns using rope, and if a piece broke I tied a knot. I hope to God, he said one day, that I have fought my last battle. It is a bad thing to be always fighting. While in the thick of it I am much too occupied to feel anything, but it is wretched just after. It is quite impossible to think of glory. Both mind and feeling are exhausted. I am wretched even at the moment of victory, and I always say that next to a battle lost, the greatest misery is a battle gained. Not only do you lose those dear friends with whom you have been living, but you are forced to leave the wounded behind you. To be sure, one tries to do the best for them, but how little that is. At such moments every feeling in your breast is deadened. I am now just beginning to retain my natural spirits, but I never wish for any more fighting.